Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 11th of April. Well, we got a decent pushback against 50% there, filled in on the intraday at least, positive extremes that took place. We still continue to see the shakeout improving dramatically, so that's going to help stabilize things, but you don't have a steel reset. So again, we're stuck in this malaise of not really being able to move past much of this. It's nice to get your giant move in one, but you also have to represent that, we typically see that you get anywhere between a 30 to 50% fill of those, and that's where it ended up at about 30, but we did get all the way to, at least more than 50% on that. And you can see the rising of magenta with white MBI. So shorts are fighting bulls within this very context. But here, critical to watch the DOC in that divergence because yeah, you really need to see that combination crossover of green over cyan to really have the bulls take charge. But the separation along with DOC red rising, well, that should be enough to support the bull case in some broader aspect. It's not going to be an extended thing unless it's able to really just continue to plow through. So you have to watch for that shakeout to move positive in order for that to be a continuation where you would expect to break out above the 50%. Otherwise, we're likely to just trade in between for the time being. And from a NASDAQ standpoint, you can see slightly different because NASDAQ doing a bit stronger from the bull side than the S&P. So there's a differential there. You can see kind of a even rising of cyan DOC and green DOC with it. And they're relatively the same reading, just slightly different configuration with how it's taking place. You can see we're almost at positive extremes from a daily, and daily positive extremes. They're rare, but when they happen, they tend to fill pretty quick, usually within a week or so. Not quite at that level, but it's close enough. From a Treasury standpoint, this is going to be back and forth. The Fed is just sitting this one out because it's just too much movement too quickly. What do you do with it? It's impossible. The real question is, does oil stay low enough at these levels? If you can continue to extend that, you're just going to reduce price pressures, and that makes a big difference going forward. How far China wants to take this battle, they're sort of isolated now. Everybody else has decided to agree to come to the table. They didn't. Everyone thinks that that's, this horror of inflation or whatever, but that doesn't make much sense because it's not affecting the rest of the world as far as trade goes. They can still trade with China and everything's not impacting them. So the fears of this global recession because of it, it's like, does that make any sense at all? So yeah, you got to separate the hype from reality in some cases. But the euro is still taking a huge thing. The belief is that the U.S. is going to stop and that the euro will come to the rescue of it. It makes no sense, but that doesn't matter. You just have to follow the readings, and the readings have been bullish on it. With cyan under red for this entire run, and even when the original breakout took place. So, despite your fundamentals and everything like that, it doesn't make any difference. You got to go with the trade that is. And that's what we talked about. And gold continuing that spur. Once it's magenta moved over, and you can see that turnaround, gold's not done. And again, it's a safe haven that becomes a reliable fallback. The other choice would be people turning to your cryptos, but you're not seeing that because they're trading pretty close to what the NASDAQ does. And it's sort of like tied into that category. So there's been a bit of a difference there. And from an ETH standpoint, you can see that we're also not really doing anything of note. From the 50K standpoint, it took that trade, where was that, 54, the 5,060 range, and then it got out at the 5,400. So it was a pretty decent move from it overall. And then it, of course, turned red, followed that one all the way through. That was pretty decent all from that perspective. Still working with it on the short construct to try and get it to follow the exits better from the end of a long run. It's complicated with how that works out, but when it does go, it's pretty nice. At this particular stage, though, short's not really doing a whole lot of anything, and it's mostly a bull case at this particular stage, so any little momentum should be enough to push over the 50%. And we'll get it from what was the tiny time 5 minute frame here. We started the morning and it was just all sell, and then by midday, a little bit of buy came back through to salvage the situation. And when you say little buy, I mean it was quite a few points. So some big ranges, and this kind of volatility game is going to cause a lot of smaller players to just opt out and sit on the sidelines until things calm down a bit. And that will actually, in some cases, depending on who's doing it, increase the volatility even more. So we'll see. Things will normalize as soon as there's some situational settling of positions between the different players in the global scene, and that will pretty much determine how things start to shape up. But it's poised in the U.S. for, like we said, later in the year growth. Yeah. So you just have to wait. As always, though, trade well. Have a good one.